He said, DJ Chef, that's a pipe dream. And that just always stuck with me. And I kind of use the negativity as motivation. I think it just helps when you have a little bit of naysaying or a little, people not supporting it. That gives you a little drive. I think you need that in business. It's almost like, you're trying to win the Super Bowl.
Welcome back to New York's Business Podcast. My name is Jacob Restituto. I'm the host and owner of Restituto Media, a full-service photo and video company here based on Long Island. Today I'm here with DJ Chef from the DJ Chef Experience. Really appreciate you taking the time. Looking forward to this conversation.
All right. Thanks for having me.
Absolutely. So I'd like to hear your story, who you are, how you got into what you're doing, because it's kind of a unique craft that you have over here. Little side note, caveat, actually, I was telling my wife that I had 2 interviews today, and she was asking, oh, who's the guest and stuff, and I said, oh, one of them's a chef that's also a DJ. She's like, oh my gosh, a DJ Chef. I'm like, yeah, you know him? She's like, yeah, absolutely. Apparently, my wife's friend is going to a bachelorette. I believe that you're going to be at, and I think she knew you from online, and just your name's getting out there. So I think that's pretty cool.
Yeah. I've been doing it quite a while now. And I always get a little 6 degrees of somebody, someone at the party. Oh, you did my cousin's birthday party 7 years ago, in the Hamptons. So, yeah, it's just great, to connect with clients and then get like these backstories and not only do one event, you kind of do a series of events, for them over the course of you know their life. So it feels good.
So before we get into your story, I just want to piggyback on that. I just
Yeah.
spoke with a wedding photographer, and one of the similar traits of the trade is the fact that you have the opportunity to get ingrained in the family, essentially, in the sense of,
Yeah.
like, if the brother gets married, then 2 years later the sister gets married, and then the parents have a 50th anniversary, and then once you kind of get in with the family, you kind of become their DJ or their.
Yeah, they go to.
Exactly, which is a pretty cool opportunity that a lot of businesses, well, like for example, a restaurant might have reoccurring customers, but some businesses don't necessarily have reoccurring customers, and it's a cool concept of the reoccurring
Yeah,
customer.
I get both. Locally, it may be reoccurring, but being in the Hamptons for a bachelorette weekend, I get a lot of out of town brides. So it's kind of like a one and
Oh, that's
done.
cool.
Sometimes there's some crossover. If they say if you're ever in the Hamptons, you need to call DJ Chef. So yeah, interesting to have a full spectrum of clients and occasions.
So how did you get into this? It's kind of the unique trade, and you have a rather unique trademark and a kind of niche market. So tell me about it.
Yeah, I mean, I'll give you the short version. It's got a lot of layers to it, but real simply, I was really into music at a young age. I found my mom's record collection, and I was the youngest like Beatles fan. So I got into DJing around 15 years old, and I DJed all our local parties, and eventually moved into like the local bar and stuff. And I got a part-time job with a caterer, and I learned how to cook. So long story short, I just showed up at New York Restaurant School one day, didn't do any research on it, what chefs make, what it's about, and I don't know, I just got really into it. I got a job right away off the Help Wanted board downtown Time Cafe. Once again, didn't know anything about Time Cafe, but it turned out to be like a hot spot, and I met all my music heroes in there, and I was hooked. I was like, I was all in on being a chef, and I got right into the fine dining scene. I worked a couple of restaurants and ended up being a sous chef for Bobby Flay, opened a restaurant with him. And then the restaurant business kind of burned me out. So I got a job as a corporate chef. I didn't know there was such a thing. But then I worked for like all the top companies, Pfizer, ABC, MTV, and it gave me the weekends free. So what had happened was one of the executives asked me to do a dinner party on the weekend, just a couple of couples. It was here in Long Island. And I got like kind of re-energized again, got my menu, my knives, and I crushed this dinner party, and it just kept snowballing. But what I found is, being a private chef and doing these dinner parties, I don't know, I just felt like it could be leveled up a little bit. So I was missing the DJing a little bit. DJs were like becoming like these rock stars. And I don't know, I just thought to DJ while I was cooking the dinner party. And I kind of created a cooking party. So now I went from like swirling the wine to like, just over critiquing the food to like mixed drinks, dancing, and really having a party in the kitchen. Food Network exploded on the scene, and we're in like the Food Network generation, and it really became like this experience. So instead of just calling it like I was calling it the DJ Chef cooking class party, I changed the name to the DJ Chef Experience, And, it's really about just the whole experience of having a good time. Good food, great music, dancing, drinking, singing, and really just bringing the whole experience. And, that's kind of like where we are today.
It's quite the unique story, actually, and
Thank
and
you.
hearing the transition from transition is pretty cool. In hindsight, I'm sure making these decisions in the moment was a little bit stressful. Like, how do I
Yeah.
transition from here? Oh, I'm burnt out from the restaurant industry. What do I do next? But in hindsight, it's a rather unique story.
Yeah, I mean, like we're in March now, so like every year, kind of comes to a halt, after the new year, everybody's partied out. So it's like instead of being depressed, January, February, it's a little slower than it just was, I was rocking out. I don't know, I kind of look forward to, updating the website, updating logos, updating my offering, adding something new, updating the social media and creating new videos and just kind of like letting my creative process take over because when I'm busy, there's really no time for that. Even though I do it, I have my reels and event recaps and stuff. But I really look forward to that time of year. And I just I just collab with the decor. So bachelorette parties, they do a lot. They want to do experiences throughout the day, but they also have like you know over the top bachelorette decors and all these swag items. So I partnered with a bachelorette event planning company, and now I'm able to offer that. And because like the brides, they always need help. They know I'm from the Hamptons, and they always ask for suggestions and stuff. So like in that slower time, I just thought, how could I help these brides even more? So like collaborating with a bachelor party, event planner was a no brainer. So now we're able to give them all their theme items and everything, and kind
So
of
tell me
help
a
their
little bit about
process.
that on the business side of it. Like when you
Yeah,
say you're collabing with them, does that mean like you have a piece in it, or had like
yeah. So
referrals, or what does that look like?
yeah, I mean, just like any other company, you can't do everything. So it's basically I'm outsourcing the event planning. So I learned to stay in my lane and do what I'm good at. For me to, also do the event planning doesn't make sense. So I found a local bachelor party event planner, just like going through the same circuits, we crossed paths a couple of times. And then, yeah, so instead of me buying the product, me setting it up, taking the time, or hiring someone to do it, she's gonna take care of it, in the way that she does it. And yeah, there's just like a referral fee. I mean, it just makes a whole lot of sense.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
So tell me about the experience. When people hire you or book with you, what does that experience look like? So from the start of the day to the finish of the day, is it a few hours? What does that look like?
Yeah. So someone will call me, let's just say it's a 50th birthday, and what do they normally do? They go out to eat or they go out to a club, they want to dance, they want to eat. So I kind of like bring all those experiences in one full swoop. I'll change your house into like a lounge. I got the lighting, boom, boom, boom. I'll cook the meal. You see me cooking live. I'm serving it up. I'm DJing like a normal DJ would DJ, but I have this experience all like kind of timelined out a little bit. So it's more like a traveling show at this point. I don't really pitch it that way because people don't understand. So like I just let experience, let people kind of like take it as they do. I mean, you really have to experience it to understand everything, but what kind of puts it over the top is I'll get like the birthday honoree involved in the action. So I'll call him up on the microphone and we're doing a little cooking show together of the signature dessert that I do. It's called the chocolate banana dream. That's kind of like my signature dessert I'll do at all the events. So we get that honoree, that bride, that birthday honoree up with me, and we're kind of like playing up the cooking part. So I got them cracking the eggs, one hand, left hand, two hands at the same time, and then they're whipping the eggs, and I'm playing the diva, whip it good, and then everyone's clapping them on, cheering them on, they're getting into it, how hooting and hollering, and we'll get the dessert in the oven, and they'll go back to the normal stuff, drinking, dancing. I'll serve up the first course, I'll serve up the entree, we get the dance party going, and then later on when that dessert is done, I put on this cool dessert riser. I have blinged out, has the DJ Chef logo on it, cool little bowl, sparkler candle, and I have this little birthday mix that I'll play. And then, we'll light the candle up. We make them do a little dance, like, go, go, it's your birthday, and then everyone's like, yeah, yeah. And then if they have the traditional cake with the name on it, we light that up, we could sing happy birthday, blow out the candles, traditional, because you got to keep some tradition with it. And then we'll plate up my dessert together. I give them the squeeze bottles, the chocolate, the caramel. We'll plating it up. I'm dropping in the Cool in the Gang celebration. It's like celebrate good time. We're plating it up, and I think that's what kind of makes it special. Is rather than it could just be like a rogue dance party, people drinking, doing whatever they want. But I kind of like corral it back in, and I kind of control. I don't want to say chaos, but I can kind of control what happens with these little segues that I have. I have an intro, I have an outro, and I have these other little skits that I do throughout the night that kind of reels it back in, brings the focus on the honoree, and it just makes it unique from anything else that they'd ever experienced. So that's been, kind of like the rage on it is, I've kind of created this like interactive cooking dance party show that is like no other experience. So I think that's what makes it memorable.
What kind of food can they expect? Is it you make the menu? Do they make the menu? How does that work?
Yeah, so with the food, people want they may think they want this or they want that, grandma's lasagna. I mean, the sky's really the limit when it comes to the food. So what I did is I boiled it down to like
Packages?
yeah, no packages. It's the one package, but it's kind of like my signature dishes. So you have a few choices in each category of the first course, the entree, and then the dessert is the same. So you have a meat, a fish, a shrimp. You have pretty much everything, something that everybody would like, a pasta. And I do my three courses on like bachelor party. It's two courses, and there's an option for a third. Um, and then the client does their own appetizers. So let's just say they wanted some variety, like they could always like achieve that in their appetizers, or they need mom's lasagna. Hey, they serve that too. But I really want to streamline the offering so it's smooth. The process is smooth. I know that I could prepare that while I'm entertaining. And it's all flavors that everybody's accustomed to, likes, nothing too spicy. No oddball ingredients just to throw it in there to make it sound good. It's all familiar flavors. And, I present it, in a restaurant style way. I plate everything up restaurant style, the garnishes, the sauces, and it's just been successful for this type of experience.
Wow. With the unique experience that people are receiving, how did you originally pitch that? I'm sure friends and family, when you mentioned, oh, I want to do this DJ chef thing, I think a lot of entrepreneurs, when they have this unique idea, people think you're crazy.
Yeah, there was a lot of
And then
that.
even inside of that, so I want to hear about the friends and family, but even outside of that, I want to hear about how do you pitch it to, how do you break into this industry? When there is no DJ chef out there, for example, like I mentioned at the beginning of the interview, my wife knows about the DJ chef right now.
Yeah.
So if you just say, oh, we're going to have a DJ chef, she's like, oh yeah, of course. But if however many years ago before you were doing it, this didn't exist. Now they're like, oh, DJ chef. So how did you pitch this to people?
Good question. The people found me. I just when I first started, there was print advertising. There was different ways that businesses were getting the word out there. I always knew the internet was the wave of the future, and I put all my pennies into like a little website, and the pictures, the videos, um, and then the media was really what helped me. So right off of the bat, I mean, Food Network called me. They were like, DJ Chef, this is a cool idea. We want to feature on this new show called What's Hot, What's Cool. It was like a news kind of outlet, like a news show, like revealing the latest trends in cooking. And that's when it was the DJ Chef cooking class party. So
So
I
with
think
that though, so you were teaching a cooking class essentially during the party,
it
or
wasn't really a traditional cooking class. It was a fun one. It was
okay,
tongue
yeah,
in cheeky,
yeah,
and I kind of just did the little segments during the party. It might have been a little more like hands-on and a little slow, but what I found out is you can't do a serious cooking class
yeah.
at a bachelorette party or birthday party. Um, the focus isn't there. Once you have the drinks and the music going. So I came up with fun way to do it. So I just went with the tongue-in-cheeky thing. I don't know if that's a good way to. I went with a more relaxed style of it. Where it's kind of a skit. So like I got the music with the cooking and like I said the Devo, the whip it good, and it kind of just went that way. So I think the media and the reviews and like the articles that were published on me kind of help legitimize it. like, oh, it was on Food Network, I was on MTV, all this stuff like right off of the bat. So like I think people embraced the idea that it was something new and
Wow.
different, but then you always had like those naysayers. So like I had, part-time jobs as I was developing this. So I was at a restaurant magazine, and I was kind of like the food editor, but I was doing everything, writing, helping with sales, and just using my people knew me a little bit in the industry. So he was like the number one, guy boom poo pooing it. I was like, you gotta be. He's like this. He said, DJ chef is that's a pipe dream, and that just always stuck with me. And I kind of used the negativity as motivation, and I think it just helps when you have a little bit of naysaying or a
Mm.
little people, kind of not rooting against you, but just not supporting it. And, that gives you a little drive, in the morning
Yeah,
to get
that's an
up.
interesting.
I come from sports. I'm a football player, baseball player. So I'm a little competitive, and I think you need that in business. It's almost like, you're trying to win the Super Bowl, every morning you wake up.
Well, I think for the genuine purebred entrepreneur that actually believes in what they're doing, that the naysayers actually fuel the fire to actually push you forward. It's interesting because that I would put you into that category, as opposed to somebody that has an idea but is a little nervous to execute the idea. Maybe they're not. It's not their full passion because they're in it just for the money, or because they're not necessarily a purebred entrepreneur. That naysayer can have a significant voice in their head, and it can really affect the outcome of whether or not they actually pursue the opportunity or not. So it's really interesting just to denote that.
Yeah, I had it since day one, even with the DJing. I
Mm.
wasn't that good of a DJ. I wasn't using the right equipment. I'm not playing classic rock. I don't like that dance music. I had a lot of that in Long Beach. It
Mm.
was all classic rock, and I came in with the dance music and all the girls dancing and hip hop. So like I got it right off the bat, so I knew how to deal with it a little bit. And it's just always fine tuning, and always just trying to break through and just making one more believer.
So let's talk about that with the breakthrough. You mentioned that from the beginning, the traditional media, whether it be TV, writings like write ups, that's how you solidified the idea of it, or essentially like legitimize the idea of it. But now that you've moved away from that in the sense of like it seems like you're really active on social media, and now that you have legitimized the business, I'm curious what you're doing on social media and how your what your marketing looks like today.
My mantra has always been marketing doesn't sleep. This I'm just doing it 24/7, whether, and I feel like you need a mix of marketing, PR, some advertising, and the social media is just great. When I first started, there was no social media, so like this is like the Disneyland of marketing. I'm just like, this is great. It's free,
Mm-hmm.
so it's really what you make of it. And you know the way you get in the algorithm is by just constantly posting. And anyone will tell you, any of these influencers, is that they just kept posting. Maybe it wasn't quality at the beginning, but if you're doing it consistently, you're gonna get it, and you're gonna upgrade the quality. Like I was, uploading not great quality, and I'm just, we just took one day to research how are they getting this quality. Oh, it has to be 2K. Like I don't know. The first option is like was the 1080p. So it has to be 2K. Oh, now I get it. So you just kind of learn by doing it, and just don't be afraid to make mistakes. Because like your biggest wins are learning from those mistakes.
Sure.
And like it took me a while to get it. Like I was like kind of, wallowing in the mistakes and looking back,
Mm-hmm.
that there's no losses. It's only learning, So once you realize that, you just keep moving forward, learn from your mistakes. And then as far as social media, yeah, you'll just keep posting your recaps. Like part of when I'm doing an event is like you have it in mind now, okay? Like I'm gonna do a recap of this event.
Mm.
You're getting the shots, it makes me want to hit all my notes in an event because I know that this is a great event. I want to get a good recap. So almost now forecasting or, kind of planning ahead on your marketing for this experience. If I'm going to be, at a South Beach Food and Wine Festival, we gotta get content on this. We have to, plan out what we're gonna do a little bit. Obviously, you're gonna enjoy the moment and everything, but just know that you're gonna be promoting us on social media or using it as a marketing tool later on. So you're gonna like do certain things to get those shots and or hit those notes.
Absolutely. One of the things I want to touch on is in terms of the marketing, and I couldn't agree more. Where find that, especially coming from my background in social media and being YouTube being my full time job, like we were discussing before we started filming. Before, for the listeners, YouTube was my full time job for 3 years. I posted a lot of content. Um, and that's exactly it. I couldn't agree more that one of the biggest mistakes businesses make with their marketing is they don't post often enough, so they don't learn what works or what doesn't work, and they're afraid to try things, or they pontificate about it. For example, I was just actually on the phone with a potential client, and he's like, "Okay, I'm kind of debating these two routes I might want to go down with the marketing route, with the social media route, if you want to call it that."
Yeah.
And I'm like, whether you use me or not, it's not the point. My point is that I would recommend and prefer you to just start now. Don't think, because what you're going to do otherwise is you're going to go
Gonna
think
get
about it for
busy.
6 months. You're going to get busy. Then you're going to do neither because you're trying to make the perfect idea.
Yeah.
And there is no such thing as a perfect idea. The only idea that's perfect is the one you started, and then you adjust going forward.
And you adjust it and you find the niche of it.
Exactly.
Yeah. Because I see people that, maybe they don't have the best product or, it's just a similar product than someone else has. But they get on the social media and the viewers like they like you. They like you because, I don't know. I saw a guy put the mic on the spatula. It's a spatula mic. I thought, hey, that's kind of, and so he has it in all his videos. And like, I don't know, he kind of gravitates toward it's different. And he's got a good personality, and, so they might just like you, not necessarily the product. And then you're going to grow your followers and then eventually going to try the product.
Yeah, exactly. So now, from a practical standpoint of marketing and social media, I'm curious how you actually execute it. Do you film everything? Do you bring a videographer? Do you bring a team with you in the sense of serving? Are you serving everything? Just, I'm curious on how the actual execution of your product works.
Yeah, so I have an event assistants at events. So part of their job is to, get some content. We pre-plan, okay, we're gonna serve the food. I serve this food on a glowing platter. Make sure you get that. Make sure you get, you know, the cake. Make sure you get, when I'm plating it. So we'll just get all that content. I'll get some content while I'm performing, and then I'll just take it all and just see what's best, take little snippets and just kind of create it, have a little routine with it at this point, so I need this intro, like I'm walking in, the setup, the hot spots, the hot spots with the food, the dancing, make sure all the elements are represented, and I have a little same outro every time. You know what I mean? Like my picture and the film reel and the chef that rocks. And now I create another little ending of that with the little cartoon, with the cursor clicking it, and then it kind of fades out. Book now at djchef.com. So I feel like you need a little consistency, even though like each video may be unique, but there has to be some consistency to it. So I kind of do that with the intro and the outro, just to give it that consistency.
So how long have you been doing this business?
I'm gonna say 10 plus years. It's been a little more. I don't want to sound, ancient, but I mean, I've been performing and entertaining since I'm 15.
Yeah.
So, we'll say 10 plus.
That's
I'll
fair.
keep it
That's
at
fair.
that. Once
So,
I'm never gonna say the quote.
so one of the things I find interesting is trends, and whether it be in the restaurant industry, the fashion industry, the music industry, there's always trends. And one of the fine line I find that businesses have to follow is following the trend of the industry
Mhm.
while also staying true to themselves.
Yeah.
What does that look like for you?
I don't know. Once again, I still kind of march to my own drum, but I am, aware of trends in food,
Mm,
and in music too. Because I was kind of like a hip hop guy. Preference. My preference was hip hop personally, and then like the EDM and the dance music really just took off. I was not really into it at the beginning, and then it just kind of grew on me. And the reaction you get from the crowd, so it's kind of like my favorite music now. And then with food, people are health conscious, farm to table, using fresh ingredients. So I might have liked more like comfort food early on, but now I kind of transitioned into more of a healthy approach. More local awareness approach, using local ingredients and, supporting local farmers and that sort of thing. So, that's where I kind of adapted as far as, trends, in music and in food.
So in addition to what's interesting about you're really running two businesses at the same time because a private chef experience would have to then do all the booking of the foods and making sure you have enough ingredients and
Yeah.
stuff, and a DJ would have to come and set up and bring everything like you, but you have to do both,
Yeah.
which I find really interesting. Can you speak on that?
Yeah, it's just what I know,
Mm.
I use a DJ setup. I probably could get one of those smaller controller things, but I'm performing, so I prefer like the CDJs. It's a little heavier. It's all in the one coffin. I found that I don't really need the huge speakers. I'm in mostly homes, so I downgraded the speakers, and like the cops don't come anymore. So these are things that I kind of learned, over the years. As far as the food, like I said, I offer things I know that I can kind of execute while I'm entertaining, and I know where to shop and where to order these products, where to pick up this, where to pick up that, so I've kind of fine-tuned everything as far as the music and the food over the years. Once again, just from trial and error. It's kind of been my story from the beginning, is trial and error. I'm not afraid to just go in there and do it. Working as a restaurant chef, you are kind of trained to kind of know the problems are coming, and you just have to adjust and adapt. And I've become a master at that over the years. Like everything from storms, weather
Mm.
situations, now pandemics, and I don't know, it really didn't phase me at all. Not
Yeah.
not to phase me
Pe-
at this point.
People, yeah, I hear you, man. It's funny. So we were talking beforehand that I had have and had a career in the music industry. Um, and I play at my church. And it's what's interesting now is when you play at the church, you can see the people that have had like a professional career versus a not, unrelated to how quality, like how with the quality of the musicianship. There can be incredible musicians who were just never professional musicians, and you could see when a problem arises how
Yeah,
they handle it differently. In the sense that the professional musicians, like, bro, I played, like, for example, if you can't hear yourself in the in-ear monitors, or like the
yeah.
speakers are sound a little funny, you can't hear
Turn
yourself
up the Q
properly.
in the headphones.
Yeah, well, not even that. It's like, man, you don't even know the places I didn't
Yeah,
even know if my guitar was plugged in because I could barely hear it because it was so jacked up through this. Like, I'm like,
yeah.
you just, like you said, nothing phases you at this point. Where
Yeah, you just go with the flow, and
it's
I've had
experience.
I had a left turntable, just someone spilled a drink on it, and I don't know, I just know that I could operate with one. I use an effects for the transitions, and I the party was seamless. I was just using one turntable the whole night.
Yeah. So it's got to be an interesting experience with working with a lot of alcohol,
Yeah, yeah,
where people are consuming a lot of alcohol. I'm
yeah,
sure it creates first of all interesting stories, but
yeah.
also just interesting experiences from a business perspective. Like, for example, now you have to replace that turntable.
I've learned the CDJs, they'll come back the next day. Yeah, it was made to withstand
Yeah. So
that.
I'm curious on that. How do you preemptively or post party plan for the mishaps that will happen when when your patrons are drinking and they mess things up or they break things, or the problems that may arise. Because your industry is a little unique where like people are intending to be a little rowdy, intending to
Yeah.
get kind of loosen up. So like I'm sure problems have arisen with that. So how do you handle that?
I just look at myself as the conductor of the chaos, you know what I mean? You know, yeah, I mean, you just have to, kind of, so like if somebody's, getting rowdy, I'm not going to keep playing rowdy songs. I'm going to like dial it down, or maybe do a skit, or, kind of change the narrative, so it doesn't escalate. So it's almost like a push and pull. Like I want to keep instigating, not the rowdiness, but good party vibes. But then if it starts going left, I try to dial it back the other way. Maybe serve up the, jump to do the dessert routine. Maybe do it a little earlier. So now they're gonna eat and kind of bring it back down. And then when I close out, I bring it back up again, and then I dial it down and leaving them wanting a little more.
Mm.
So that's kind of been my formula.
So it sounds like what's unique and cool about that is it sounds like you actually prevent a lot of problems by the way that you direct the party.
Yeah, being in the event industry, I've worked with the greatest event planners. I did a party planner with David Tatira. I was with him all day shooting this episode for his show. Um, But and even if you saw that movie, The Wedding Planner, you just have to kind of see it, forecast that these situations are going to arise, and have a couple of ways to deal with it. And that's one of the challenging things that I like, that you were able to overcome that, and still put on a good show, and give them a memorable experience, even though these things are bound to happen or do happen.
From a planning perspective, whether it be booking your clients, whether it be purchasing food or um, using social media, are there any like systems or tools or applications that you find really helpful that really benefit your business that you think other businesses would benefit from?
Good question. I just started exploring like HoneyBook, and there's another one that I think is a little better. I forgot the name of it, but these tools almost like an assistant, which I might be doing things a little bit the old way, but it's what I used to. I like to print out the booking form, make notes on it, bring it with me. With the HoneyBook and these kind of email data programs, everything's all in a log. So, and it has some AI built into it. So I'm exploring that right now. But I mean, I can't say there's really one application that's really helping me right now. ChatGPT has been
Ah,
helpful.
sure.
Rewriting some emails, rewriting a few descriptions for me. I mean, it's no secret, everybody's using
Yeah,
it,
I
but
use it every day, man.
it's just great. Proposals,
Mm,
rewriting proposals for you. I mean, if you're not using it, it's you're behind,
I
because it
agree.
is a real powerful tool. But what I'm looking into is more of a full event planning program to kind of like fine tune some things.
Mm.
Accounting. It helps you with a little bit of everything.
You mentioned back when I was talking about we were talking about the menu. You mentioned that there's only one package. So can you talk about so you only offer your one package in the sense of like it's a certain amount of hours, or tell me about that?
So it is a main package, and then what I've been doing over the past couple years is offering upgrades. So if you want to add the lighting package, you want to add additional appetizer package, some decorations, have like a swag package. So like I give them the base package, which I feel is valuable. The pricing is on point for that. Wait, let's see. I offer the one package, which I feel the client feels it's affordable. It's worth it's wild in that one package. But to increase the ticket sale, I have additional packages they could add on. So if instead of giving them like a full, giving them everything, I took some things out and I made these add-on packages. So like that, that'll help increase, the final
Sure,
revenue.
absolutely, but also makes it enticing where it's not blowing people out of the water with the
Yeah,
price.
I think coming in with the big number, and also I price it out per person. So like that we're dealing with the smaller numbers, and there's a little control on it. Okay, if you want to keep the numbers, maybe take some people off of the
Mm,
invite list.
yeah.
So rather than hitting on like just say like a talent fee.
So what do you see next for DJ Chef? What's next in the industry?
What's next for DJ Chef? Well, I'm looking at expansion. I mean, it's a sensible next step. Different cities, looking at that
Where you would
products.
travel, you'd franchise it out.
Good question. I mean, it's something that I have to, think about. I think it might be sensible to have train someone to stay here. Maybe I'm thinking about Florida, so maybe,
Miami would be killer,
yeah,
man. This is
Miami.
your
I mean, yeah,
that's your
everybody says the same thing.
this
You'd
is
be
your
killing
spot,
it in
man.
Miami. So I'm thinking about Miami, or Fort Lauderdale, maybe Palm Springs. I'm deciding what area. I don't know. Miami is hard to get around.
Yeah, that's
So
true.
I'm thinking maybe a little north, but Fort Lauderdale is a big bachelorette party destination,
Mm.
and corporate events. There's so many convention centers and stuff too. So thinking about that, maybe moving there, training someone here. It's still something that I battle with, because I'm kind of like passing,
Mhm.
the responsibility to someone else, and you know, I don't trust anybody. No, 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 I don't trust anybody, but
Yeah, it's your baby, of
yeah,
course.
yeah,
As
it's a
every
little
entrepreneur.
different, training somebody, to do what you do. It's a struggle of mine.
Yeah. So within the DJ chef world, whether it be bachelor parties or 50th birthdays or whatever, is there any avenue within that that you haven't explored that you think you'd like to explore, or do you think you're kind of satisfied with where you are?
That's a good question. I mean, I'm always look at all avenues. I know we talked about private parties, but I do a lot of corporate events, food festivals, and trade shows. Over the past year or so, past couple of years, it took a little dip, I guess, with the pandemic. I know it's definitely back now, full swing. So I'm doing the Event Planner Expo in New York City this
Oh
year
yeah, cool.
in October, which is all event planners, come to like, see what ideas are out there, what new ideas, they could use for their events. So I'm looking forward to doing that. And then, yeah, trying to get back more into corporate events and the food festivals. I'm working on some sales tactics. I'm doing more pitches, and hopefully meet some event planners at the event expo and focus on bigger events as well.
Absolutely.
No,
Well, it's been really a pleasure to hear your story, and I really appreciate you taking the time. So thank
thank you,
you.
thank you for having me.
Absolutely. And thank you for all the listeners who are, thank you for all the listeners who stuck around to the at the end of this and to hear his story. So definitely check out DJ Chef and all the things. Maybe book an event with him. So hopefully see you in the next video. If you're an entrepreneur and a business owner, or you know a business owner that you think might be a good fit for this podcast, reach out. I'd love to hear from you.